Well, first of all, let me say thank you for this opportunity and show my appreciation to AGA and the opportunity to interact with folks from the Secretariat and to meet the young people you've been bringing together over the last few years. My name is Aaron Azelton. I'm the Director of Citizen Participation Programs at the National Democratic Institute. We're headquartered in Washington, but we have offices throughout the world, including more than 20 offices here on the African continent. My focus is primarily working to support the active and organized engagement of citizens in political life. I will take a shot at trying to define youth participation. I'm not sure I'm the best position to demystify it. And one of the principles that kind of informs our work is that only youth can make determinations about what youth need and what actions youth should be taking. But we believe that young people certainly have a role to play in public life, and it's through the organized and active involvement in young people that the barriers to their participation begin to be reduced. And they're really a driver for not only democratic development, but socioeconomic change. And that I think tapping into that asset, particularly when it comes to helping young people organize and engage collectively, is really powerful. Well, I think there are a number of challenges, many of which I think are, sociocultural, perceptions of youth, and when they're viewed by adults, I think they're seen as lacking ability. They don't have the right sensibilities. They don't have the life experience. But I think youth can certainly overcome those types of barriers by proving themselves, essentially. And the way we approach that, we look to help develop young people in terms of their agency, but we also work on what we describe as the enabling environment. And it's basically, what makes it possible for young people to organize and to engage. And we look at those kind of two sides, the agency and the enabling environment. We take an approach where we try to activate young people, build their assets, help them take collective action, work across different parts of the political cycle. A focus on elections is just one part of what we do. We like to help young people engage in policy making, setting the public agenda, public budgeting. And it's through that action and helping them establish relationships with adult power holders, working alongside other members of the community. They begin to break down kind of the stereotypes associated with what young people can and cannot do. So it's through that organized, active engagement, playing positive roles, interacting and building intergenerational relationships, and essentially establishing themselves as, being able to add value and being able to contribute in a positive way to public welfare. Well, I'm able to provide three thoughts, and these come from youth themselves. Over the course of the last year, we did some research around our programming, and we gathered youth across several continents and asked them as young activists and emerging political leaders like what they need and what's been most helpful for them in those instances where they've achieved some level of success. And so one of those is and I mentioned it earlier, is the development of intergenerational relationships, being able to build connections to adult power holders and working alongside of them. Another one is the idea of collective action, young people working collectively as part of a broader community. And the power associated with that, but it also helps young people tie into communities, feel a greater sense of belonging, and a greater commitment to positive community outcomes. And the last piece that or the item I would mention, I think maybe the most important, that young people don't only need to be working on youth issues with other young people. And what we found was when young people are only working with young people on youth issues, they can stay marginalized. And we heard that in the time I spent this past few days with your group, that things like quotas, for instance, or national youth councils can keep youth marginalized because public officials or the authorities can suggest that, well, we have the youth council, we don't need to engage youth outside of that. So when young people begin organizing around issues that affect many citizens, not just young people, then they're able to get, in my view, and according to the young people we spoke with, get greater traction and be able to kind of continue to participate and use it more as a stepping stone to kind of sustain participation rather than saying, we got a youth council established or we got quotas in place, and that's kind of an end in itself rather than a means to an end.